morning, and thanks for joining us for Special Report Online. I'm Brett Baer. If this is your first time, welcome aboard. Different forum. Continue the conversation with our panel. We want to hear from you, so weigh in, ask questions. The panel, Charlie, Nina, AB, and Charles. We left off talking about politics and talking about some inside the Trump campaign saying there is some angst about where the candidate is. Newt Gingrich publicly saying that he has to change his messaging right away, otherwise he's going to lose, telling the Washington Post that. Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman, was asked about this so-called intervention. This is what he said today.
This is the first I'm hearing of that. The campaign is focused, and the campaign is moving forward in a positive way. The only need we have for an intervention is maybe with some media types who keep saying things that aren't true. In the last week, we've just announced our 50 state chairman in the states. We've announced a record amount of money that we raised in July. Mr. Trump has appeared this week in front of crowds that are overflowing onto the streets. So the campaign is in very good shape. We are organized. We are moving forward. And the Clinton machine may not like it, but we're prepared for the fight.
Are they? Nina?
This feels like Groundhog Day. We've had this conversation over and over about the Trump campaign. And, it really seems like, once again, it's less the Trump campaign that's having a nervous breakdown than the party itself, which is having to cope with Trump and everything he says, and having to face what is this going to mean for down ballot? What is this going to mean for the Senate? What is this going to mean for the House? What does it mean in Wisconsin when Trump goes toe-to-toe with Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House? So that's where I see the trauma, the Sturm und Drang, more than his campaign. Now, his campaign, people have thought that his kids were kind of a good influence on him, and I think in some ways they have been. They pushed hard for Mike Pence. The Corey Lewandowski exit was very much influenced by the kids, but they've never run a complex national campaign, and I'm not sure that they have the right sensibility to keep this ship on.
Charlie, I mean, even though there's talk about him getting out of this race or possibly getting out of this race, that's just not going to happen. It doesn't seem like there is any chance that happens.
No, I don't think that there is any chance of that. And that we have been, as we were just talking a minute ago, we've sort of talked about variations of that conspiracy theory since he got into the race over a year ago. I think one of the things that has really ratcheted up the concern in the last week partly is the fact that he has made some gaffes and he's wandered off and gotten into these insane, ridiculous fights that he shouldn't be having when he should be just focused entirely on Hillary Clinton and his message about economic recovery and fighting terrorism. So last night, as you mentioned earlier in the show, Congressman Tim Huelskamp did one of the things that's almost impossible to do in politics: lose as an incumbent his primary. He was a known thorn in the side of John Boehner when he was Speaker, but he was also a rabid anti-Trumper. And he cut ads against Donald Trump. And I've seen very little questions asked about, down there about in Kansas, 1st District, whether or, the degree to which that may have hurt him in the primary.
So you're saying this is the canary in the coal mine on...
It very well could be. And if it is, then Republicans are going to find themselves in very, very, very deep trouble. And when you look at these rallies, you look at the rallies that Hillary Clinton has versus the rallies that Donald Trump has, people throng to get into the Donald Trump. There's a lot of enthusiasm out there, even though he says stupid things sometimes. Republicans I know they have to be very, very concerned about that.
All right, so let's see, Lobo Man 52. The campaign is not Donald Trump at this stage of the game. They appear to be two separate entities on separate tracks. To that point, here is Mike Pence endorsing Paul Ryan today.
I talked to Donald Trump this morning about my support for Paul Ryan, our longtime friendship. He strongly encouraged me to endorse Paul Ryan in next Tuesday's primary, and I'm pleased to do it.
AB, Donald Trump saying he's just not there yet, using the words Paul Ryan used when asked about the Donald Trump endorsement at first.
Well, I think that in speaking to Republicans today in the House and the Senate, there's definitely a sense that everyone's going to hunker down, hide in their basement, try to avoid reporters, and publicly continue their endorsement of Donald Trump. It's what's going to happen privately. This whole fight with the Gold Star family really calls into question sort of whether or not he's failed the commander-in-chief test. Does he have the temperament? Does he have the empathy? Does he have the focus? And most people at this point, it's been a cumulative mountain of frustration and now worry, believe that he is failing that test. But they are not going to come out and unendorse him. So I don't know what Paul Ryan's going to do next Wednesday morning after he likely wins his primary. But I expect everyone who's endorsed Donald Trump to stick by their endorsement. It just is going to be an opportunity, I believe, for Hillary Clinton, who really needs to find some voters on the margins. She's not going to get the same numbers that Obama did. She's not going to get the same African-American numbers. She's going to get probably pitiful young vote numbers. And I think that she's going to have an opportunity in the weeks to come now that Meg Whitman, a business leader, and Mike Bloomberg have opened up this question of how sane Donald Trump is. If she keeps piling up these endorsements, not of elected Republicans, but of sort of Republican notables. It's all over the question of whether or not he can handle the job of commander-in-chief. I think it is an opportunity and opening for Hillary Clinton.
Pam T27, out in left field question: could Trump step aside and Ivanka step in, since she will be 35 by Election Day? I mean, we are going down the track here about possibilities.
But only if Ted Cruz's dad disavows the Kennedy assassination and says it was a mistake. They were shooting for Governor Connolly.
But listen, there is a mechanism by which, if there was an opening and if the Republican nominee stepped down, it would be a vote by the Republican National Committee members to elect another nominee, which then would take the place on all of the ballots around the country.
Can I interject?
Just that's the specific technical thing.
Just to interject here, how many times did people around this table and tables all over in pundit rooms during the early part, particularly of the primary season, the end of last year, say, well, he's probably going to drop out after he loses his state. That's what's going to happen. He's going to lose his state. He's going to drop out. He's going to drop out. He's going to drop out. How many times do people say that?
Totally, but we never heard it from inside the campaign, and that's what we're hearing now, is that there are some people inside that campaign who are not sure whether he's going to stick it out till the end. And who knows if that's just crazy inside source talk, but it is talk, and so that's why we have to cover it. Charles, I interrupted you.
No, I was just going on about Kennedy assassination, but let me come back out of Looney Tunes. Look, I think there are things in the poll that are quite worrisome for Trump. Number one, the gender gap is a chasm. She is up by 34 points, I think, among women. 23 are reversed. The digits are reversed. She's only down by 5 among men. But the worst is on temperament. She has a plus 30, meaning 30 points more that she has the temperament. And his is a minus 24. I'm doing the math on the run here. On temperament, I think this is coming to, as long as it's a referendum on fitness for office, Trump, she has a chance of winning and winning big. As soon as the focus can shift to her and the record of the Obama 8 years, that's her ticket, and it's a very obvious conflict. And I was saying in 1980 that was the issue with Reagan. People were very unhappy with Carter. They were ready to vote for somebody else, but he had to be, people had to think he's okay to trust the country with. And Reagan said in one of the debates in a sort of genial way, there you go again. Showed a soft, attractive side. The election was over.
Yeah. I mean, I said the other day that it's like the two people running away from the bear. They don't have to be faster than the bear. They just have to be faster than the other guy. And so they're trying to get the worst, the best of the worst.
Yeah, that's totally true. But we should step back though and look at. I think that the Khizr Khan situation is a perfect encapsulation of the way I think the media has mistreated or has mishandled so much of this election. It is true that Donald Trump got into an unnecessary fight, said things that were obviously offended Mr. Khan. But let's step back and remember this. The reason that Captain Khan was in Iraq in the first place in 2004 when he was blown up is because the Senate, of which Hillary Clinton was a member, and she voted to invade Iraq. She didn't turn tail as quickly as people like Secretary of State John Kerry did, but eventually she reversed herself and called that vote a mistake. And here we are, another 8 years on, and we're getting word from the Obama administration that, oh no, actually we're going to try to retake all this land in Iraq that we gave up. To me, that is such an example of unfitness for office. And while the Donald Trump, saying something stupid to the Gold Star family is, deplorable and all that kind of stuff, I don't think that holds a candle to voting to send somebody into war and then later changing your mind into saying that, oh, that was all a mistake.
And who was president?
I'm not debating. I'm not saying that. I'm not debating that point.
It's not a message that he can stay on himself, Charlie.
Well, that's fine, but this is what has been Donald Trump's advantage all along. I used to joke around that his bumper sticker should read, "You can't screw it up any worse," and part of the advantage there is that he is a blank. He doesn't have a record.
No, he couldn't stay on the message of why Captain Khan was killed in Iraq and what a mistake that war might have been. He had to say that he runs a for-profit business. He started with money from his dad, and he has built great structures, and that is a sacrifice. He made a comparison of his for-profit business hiring
If you watch the sequence of the interview with Stephanopoulos, they had moved on from that. It was not an artful way to answer it.
The best way to say it was to talk about the Iraq War.
Agreed.
And he can't stay off himself.
And those of us who are imbued in politics and the way politicians are supposed to answer those questions would have answered that exactly right. Part of what people love about Donald Trump is he doesn't, and he says the wrong thing.
Yeah, all right, a couple of points. One is all of these stories that are coming from a number of different sites about Khan and his connections. We are checking into all of them, but so far nothing has come up 100% lining up at all. And if we have any reporting on anything, you will see it here on Fox. 2, his son did die in Iraq, serving the U.S. military. 3, people questioning this Fox poll. You're right, it is registered voters currently. After Labor Day, all polls turn to likely voters, and that is a better screen for trying to get the people who actually will show up to the polls. And so it's a little bit broad now, but it tracks with other polls that we've seen moving in the past day and a half.
Can I just say a word about the Gold Star parents? Look, it's not just a matter of technique that he's not schooled in this. A politician would have known to say, or that he missed his opportunity to turn it into an issue of who supported the war. This has to do with character. What kind of person responds to grieving parents by disparaging the mother for saying nothing, knowing nothing about her, and insinuating that she is being a submissive Muslim and that's why she was silent? What kind of person is lacking just the ordinary empathy and respect you would have for the mother of a fallen soldier? This is about character, and character will determine the outcome of this election.
You know what they say, though. Hillary Clinton told the mother and father of those who were killed in Benghazi that it was a video, and they were going to get the guy who did the video. That's what they said.
We on this set have said that 100 times since the Benghazi incident, endless times, that she showed terrible character problems in doing that, in her whole conduct of that evening, in looking for an excuse and an alibi on the night while the fight was still going on. All of that has been said. And so it isn't as if we have had a double standard on this. But the fact is that the Trump incident happened a week ago, and nothing had been said about that, and it was utterly revealing. Look, the poll shows that 70%, 69% of people asked about this said his response went out of bounds. Only 19% defended him. If he continues to be revealing in this way, he's going to lose.
Will Fox News do state-level polling? Yes, and we have. We've done swing state polls. We'll have some more coming up very soon. All right, final word. I've got to run because it's our family's throwing a birthday dinner tomorrow. I share a birthday tomorrow with President Obama. He shares a birthday with me, I should say.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And are you going to toast each other?
I think so. I don't know. Okay, final word. So Hillary Clinton, she hits the outsourcing button tonight. I played that clip for Brian Fallon. She's talking about how outsourcing is not a real problem in India, and then they pay $1 million to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, that's a bad ad. And it was running in Pennsylvania when we were there.
It'd be a lot better if Donald Trump were talking about that instead of everything else he's talking about right now.
I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
In some way, there's never any way to know what she believes. She was Secretary of State. I believe her statement was made while in India. If you're in India, where the outsourcing is going, and you are developing relations with the most important non-Muslim country in the entire continent of Asia, and you're trying to be nice, you're not going to denounce outsourcing because that's not your role. That would be contrary to the national interest. So if she comes, it's like on TPP. She played the role of Secretary of State. Then, given the choice, she flips. And who the heck knows what she's going to do if she's elected in office? She is as opaque as to what she believes as any candidate ever, and that includes Donald Trump.
There you go. We will leave it there. Special report online every Wednesday, or most Wednesdays. We really try. Thanks for being here. Control room, a little goodbye.